I think it's really important to talk about the benefits of retrofit LED, because it's not something that you need to do absolutely immediately, but nonetheless, there are some very obvious benefits to moving away sooner rather than later. So, you know, first benefit would be less lamp replacements. So retrofit LED, you know, for example, the Opti-Catch, it has a 3-year lifetime, which means that where you are probably currently having your lamps changed every year, that would drop down to every 3 years, which is a cost of ownership saving. You've got 66% energy savings, which is obviously also good for any sustainability pledges that you have in your organisation. And sometimes clients can govern certain, you know, carbon footprint reduction and things like that. So actually, if any of your clients are looking at that, it's a good thing to mention that you're actually upgrading to LED in a very sustainable way. That being said, you can also utilise your existing equipment, so there's no additional installation or disruption. It also means that really you do sort of get a lot more bang for your buck from the existing traps that you've got on the wall, because obviously you've paid for those. They're not broken yet. There's no reason really to rip them off the wall and send them to landfill. Certainly, if it were me, I would want to utilise the equipment until I physically couldn't anymore. Another huge benefit of retrofit LED is the form factor. It's a universally available form factor at the moment, which means because it's retrofitting into existing fluorescent traps, it's using the same form factor or similar form factor as fluorescent. So in the case of Opti-Catch, for example, it's got the same G13 cap that you would be used to on your T8 fluorescent, and it fits in perfectly. This is a benefit because there are obviously some LED solutions whereby the replacement module or lamp is bespoke to one manufacturer, and that is I think that can cause some supply chain pressures and is definitely not favoured amongst many people. So this is universally available, which means that if you utilise one retrofit LED brand and for whatever reason you decide that you want to try another brand, perhaps another brand is claiming better fly catch, or perhaps another brand has got an offer on when you come to replace your lamps, you're not tied into any one place. It's a socket that you can fill with more than one option, so it's definitely more robust from a supply chain point of view. So some customers may wish to upgrade to LED and get the benefits of retrofit a lot sooner, but obviously that's not something that you absolutely have to rush and do, because as I've clearly mentioned, the fluorescent lamps are still going to be widely available for years to come, but there are some very obvious benefits to retrofit as a whole. Saying that, there's lots of options on the market, and so I think it's really important that you know exactly what to look for in a retrofit LED to make sure that you are keeping your fly control exactly where it is now or better. So the first thing that I think is really important to look for is the rated life and the accompanying warranty. Some solutions may offer a 3-year life but only a 2-year warranty, and that's not going to fill you with confidence, because if you do have any issues of early failures in that 3rd year, you're not going to, or it's unlikely that you're going to be fairly compensated. Now, currently in fluorescent, it's very rare that you hear of a fluorescent lamp not working for the full 12 months. It's incredibly rare. But with LED, there's such varying qualities and such varying components and things that's being used that not all brands are going to be equal. So some brands that claim a 3-year life but only a 2-year warranty, I would question that if it was me personally as a consumer. Another really important factor is the independent fly catch data. How does the product perform in comparison to fluorescent? Because right now you're using fluorescent and your fly control is where you want it to be, which is incredibly important for any food sites. I mean, there's many sites and applications where that's important, but food and beverage manufacturing is certainly important. So what you run the risk of if you don't check for that independent fly catch data compared to fluorescent is you could potentially be retrofitting with an LED tube that actually has significantly less fly catch, and then you run the risk of having an infestation, and it's too reactive to worry about that after the fact. It's important that you actually ask for that comparative data before you make a purchase. So you would expect a retrofit LED to collect or to catch the same amount of flies or more in independent fly catch data. You have a lot more variables in LED than fluorescent, so that's why the independent data is even more imperative than it would be. I mean, I think fluorescent lamps, although there are varying UV outputs, generally they all seem to catch flies in more or less the same sort of volume. I'm not saying that you don't get some that do it better than others, but I think that gap is much wider in LED because of the different components that could be used from brand to brand. And the very last thing you need to think about is compatibility. The most kind of prominent one would be the control gear, ensuring that you are using if you're using a fly trap that has starters, it's using a switch start magnetic ballast, then as long as it's the right lamp type as well, for example, a 15 watt 18-inch T8 equivalent, you basically need to check that the lamps you're using and the control gear you're using is suitable for retrofit LED. Now, the most common fluorescent lamps that are used by far would be the 15 watt 18-inch T8, and so most retrofit solutions that you can get on the market cater to this particular size, but you would still need to double check that you've got a switch start unit. I would say if you're ever unsure about what unit you're using, then just ask the manufacturer. They will be able to guide you on whether or not you're using the right control gear. I would say my advice to you would be, if you're using electronic ballast or any ballast that doesn't utilize starters, if it were me, I would wait, because right now, as we've learned, you can still get fluorescent lamps. They're still widely available. There is no immediate ban to worry about. So rather than panicking and changing your trap needlessly, just get the most out of your current equipment, because who knows where retrofit will be by the time that the Roche ban takes place. We know that we need a good retrofit solution for almost every socket before a ban is going to take place. So realistically, you should be able to have a retrofit solution before you need to worry about it.